Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Versa Business Systems, Shaheen Mazloom. We're with an awesome guest today. I'm super excited to talk to Carnie, based out here in Maryland, where I'm from. And we're going to talk a little construction, a little marketing, a little business. And man, I appreciate you coming on today, brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me, man. Super excited to kind of see where this conversation goes. And we talked a little bit offline, but I think we'll get into some real good stuff here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So for those out there that don't know who you are and what you do, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Carnie Fryfogle. I'm the CEO of C3 American Exteriors, but I'm also the CEO of CR3 American Exteriors, and I'll help to differentiate between those two companies. So I started C3 American Exteriors back in 2017. Been around construction literally my entire life. I could probably send you it. Got a photo of me as a little kid, probably 3-4 years old, with a hammer, nails, 2x4s, and beating nails.
I got a similar picture.
Right. So I've been around the construction industry my entire life. Great-grandfather built and developed houses. Grandfather did the same. Father did the same. And ironically, here I am. So yeah. I tell everybody I didn't choose this life. It chose me. So I inevitably knew this is where I was going to end up. But started working with my father once I got out of high school full-time, swinging a hammer, and we were doing everything ourselves. And very quickly I realized that we were probably way too smart to be having a nail pouch on and actually doing the manual labor. So right. I recognized that the exterior industry was very scalable with the help of subcontractors, primarily the Latino community. And I realized that it was a sexy industry at the time, and it still is. It's very sexy right now. Private equity is super interested in it. But I saw this when I was with my father, and then when I turned 22, I guess I had like a come to Jesus moment where I realized that I wanted more out of my life. And once again, I realized that we were way too smart to have a tool pouch on. So started the company back in 2017. Very, very quickly, we started to grow and expand pretty rapidly. 4 years in, we did just under $15 million in I want to say it was 2020 or 2021. I'm losing track of the timelines here, but did just under $15 million. We got named to the Inc. fastest growing privately held companies. I think we were number like 1375. Got named to the top roofing 100 contractors in the United States. So we were pretty decorated, and we had a lot of good things going for us. But what we realized was we set out on a mission to be one of the largest roofing contractors in the nation, and $15 million sounds like a pretty good operation, but
there's some big guys out there. There's a week.
Yeah, there's two, not 2 billion, but two individual companies that both do over $1 billion in revenue. So we realized very quickly that the model that we had, although we could probably achieve it in 50 to 100 years, I'm 29, man. I like to hustle and bustle. Right. I want to get there a hell of a lot faster than 50 or 100 years from now.
Exactly.
So
I always see those things on online where it's like Warren Buffett didn't become this until he was in his 60s.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that.
I want to be in my I want to be in my 60s to hit that.
No, dude, I want to be able to walk when I get there. So
yeah, man, for real.
We recognized that was an issue that we were facing, and we hired some managers, territory managers, to run these teams in these different areas that we were going into. But what we realized was, and don't get me wrong, like these are good guys. Like we still have some of these guys, but we were looking for managers that acted like owners. And you pay a high salary. You pay a high salary to people like these. They're a dime a dozen. We have some people on our team right now that are like that. And it's taken me 120, 130 hires to find 2 or 3 of those guys. So very hard to scale with a corporate model. We recognize that, and we started to change our focus from a corporate-owned entity to a franchise concept. So I got to think what year we're in. We're in 24. So this is 2022. We decided to change our focus from a corporate entity to a franchise concept. Got introduced to some people in the franchise space. Got teamed up with a gentleman named John Hewitt, which the Hewitt name rings a bell to a lot of people. Jackson Hewitt, he founded that, sold that for $500 million. He then created Liberty Tax. That's a $2 billion a year company. Left there and started a company called Loyalty Brands. So John and his team, they focus on franchising concepts. We're one of the concepts that we created a partnership with. And we started that venture in 2022, the summer of 2022. We're able to go to market in the beginning of 23, so January 1st of last year. Within the first 12 months, we opened 9 new locations, and here we are in 2024, servicing 11 states. I have C3, which is in South Central.
In 1 year.
Yeah, which is in South. So I have C3, which is in South Central Pennsylvania, which services basically Maryland and Virginia, and then we have the franchise concept, and we have 2 locations in North Carolina, 1 in Michigan, 1 in Florida, 1 in Long Island, New York. We just popped 1 in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's starting to flourish, and it's starting to turn into something. And we got some real big deals that we're working on right now, and we're super excited to see what happens in 2024.
I bet, man, dude. So you're 29.
Yeah, you're about to be 30. So I'll be 30 in about 2 months. I mean,
whatever, man. You're still in your 20s. Hold on to those last few days of your 20s, man. That's so 29 in your 20s. And how much in revenue did you guys do last year?
Well, so last year was a funny year for us because remember I was a corporate model and then I transitioned to a franchise concept. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to have proof of concept, and we wanted to show that we had locations that weren't owned by me and my partner Mark. And so what we did was we actually sold off / awarded our North Carolina location, which is like the Wilmington, North Carolina location, and then Ocean City, Maryland, which is actually a little bit east of you. So those got sold off and awarded to real good key employees that we had. So
who's running Ocean City? I know a lot of those guys.
Ocean City's Brendan Richardson. He's born and raised down there. So
yeah, I know who he is.
Okay, and I know he's talking to Joe a little bit.
But yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
But anyway, so last year was a little bit of a weird year for us because there was this shift from me having all these locations and branches, servicing all these different states, and doing $15 million worth of revenue.
It's a brand new company, right? Like, you guys have been doing the hands-on thing for a long time. Then you guys expanded out in a corporate model, and now you're a year in with this franchise model. Like, regardless of the revenue you guys did, like that's some big changes, So now you said you're in how many states now?
We service 11.
11 states in a year. I gotta ask. So you guys, when you were doing 15 million in annual revenue, you're named, top 100 roofing companies, top whatever it was, contractors. I mean, these are huge marks. It seems like everybody and their mother has a construction company. We have thousands of clients that own construction companies, right? So, and we're not this massive bank, you know what I mean? So if people that don't understand the construction industry, there's thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands construction companies out there. So to be named one of the top 100 in any category by Inc. magazine is massive. What sets you apart as a person? Because it's clearly you, right? Like in everything that you've done, it sounds like you've been super successful, right? And when you said you're too smart to have the tool belt on, what is it about you that you're doing differently to be able to see this kind of success so quickly?
Yeah, I think it's a couple different things. I think the biggest thing that I would say is I would contradict everything that you just said, and it's not me. It's not it. I am smart enough to realize that at the ripe age, when I was 22, I started the company. And when I was 23, I brought on a partner, and to be able to recognize that when you're 23 years old and you got this ego and people and friends and family members telling you no, don't do it. I recognize that there's things that I'm very good at, and there's things that I'm not good at, and there's things that I don't really give a shit to know. Like, I'm not a super analytical financial guy.
I'm the same way. There's certain things I do not want to deal with.
No, and I think that we have to double down on our strengths and our weaknesses. We got to find people who support those weaknesses. So early on, when I was 23, I brought on a partner who helped me go from essentially a couple $100,000 worth of revenue to 15 million in 4 years. And then from that,
Right.
me and him recognized that, okay, we want to do this franchising thing. If we can bring in a partner who, John Hewitt has opened 8,000 locations in his career. This is a guy who's opened over 400 in one calendar year. We
Jeez.
realize that, like, a lot of people get in their own way, in my opinion. And
Right.
I think
For sure. That's probably most people's downfall, for
yeah, man,
sure.
like
It's either ego or, it's always us.
well, and we want to be that guy, or we want to be that girl who can, at the end of the day, stand tall and say, like, beat their chest and say, I'm that guy, or I'm that girl. But like, you look at somebody like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
You
know
can
this,
only
but
go so far by yourself.
well, dude, those guys only own like 10%. And don't quote me on it. You can Google it. They only own like
Yeah.
10% of these iconic
Yeah.
companies that they built,
Yeah.
which is a sliver of these companies. So
Yeah.
I think very successful people, and not all of them, but the majority of them, recognize that they're good at what they're good at, and if they're not good at something, or they're inexperienced, they know that they can get there a lot faster. I have people on my side that have been in business and in franchising for 50 plus years. I've only been in business for 7, so I can't.
Right.
There's Father Time, like, he doesn't, like, it's inevitable. Like, you got to put in the reps, you got to put in the time. So the fastest
Yeah.
shortcut for me to get that experience is bring on people who have it.
Is bringing on
That
the people that have it. Yeah.
that can be like a mentor figure, somebody who
Yeah.
can help to coach me and work through problems with me, because they've seen it, been there,
Right.
done that before. But I also bring a fresh perspective to some of these guys, because I am in my 20s and I
Yep.
understand technology and automations,
Yep.
and um, focusing on a customer experience, but using technology to amplify it and maximize it, and
Yeah.
make it what it needs to be in 2024, not what used to work back in 1990.
Exactly. Yeah,
um,
dude, I'm the same way, man. Like, I mean, I'm, just a few years older than you, but like, that's why we've seen so much success. Like, most of the guys in funding and credit card processing, they're much older guys. They're in their 40s, they're in their 50s. And so really the only difference is we've utilized technology to, instead of doing it the old dinosaur way of cold calling and direct mail, and we started out that way. But yeah, I mean, dude, technology is huge, and automation, like, and it's crazy to see even some of those guys that were once the top dogs in construction. They were doing hundreds of millions a year. Like, they're still doing it the same way they did 30 years ago, and not, and so they're
right.
starting to lose that business to guys like you.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I would say is being resilient is one of the biggest things, man.
It's
Just
huge.
continuing to show up, and like, sure,
Every
we
day, no
could
matter what.
we could be happy with what we've done. I'm sure I could milk it for a couple years and ride off into the sunset, or maybe private equity come and wipe us out and get my payday
Right.
and just be done. But um, I don't know, man. When you see a flurry of it, and you realize, like, that, like just from my perspective, not any of the partners or
Yeah.
anything like that, but from my perspective, I look at it, and I'm 29 years old, man. I got this,
Yeah.
hopefully, a super long life ahead of me, and I'm in the
Yeah.
infancy of my business career. Why would I not want to go after it when I don't have a ton of liabilities and a ton of different things keeping me, but like holding me back from being able to do it,
Yeah.
and just being resilient enough
100%.
to just continue to show up and understand that, like, there's never going to be a perfect time to get into business. There's never going to be a perfect
Never.
time to decide to franchise. There's never going to be a perfect time to do basically anything in this world. So
Yeah, dude, it's all about taking that action and doing it now.
make
What's the worst that's going to happen? You
yep
fall on your face and you adjust.
make a decision and keep showing up. And if you keep showing up and you keep moving forward every single day, sooner or
Yeah.
later you're going to get some of those wins stacked up, and you're gonna end up a lot further down the road than what you are. But a lot of people never get
Oh, yeah.
started, and when they do get started and they get punched in the face,
They
they
give
stop
up.
showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why there's a top 1%, right? Like, not everybody's built that way. It's, now I got to ask you, do you think that it's something that you were born with, or is this something that, you kind of just, like, you grew over a time and became this consistent, showing up every day, relentless type of person? Or do you think that was something that, your dad was, your grandfather was, and it was just kind of passed down?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, the
Right.
resiliency and the drive to want to be great or want to be like the best. That's kind of always been in my DNA, and I think I got that from my
Right.
father. Like we're
Yeah.
super competitive people. Like when I was younger, if we were playing a game, like my father didn't let me win. Like
Yeah.
he hated to
Same.
lose. He hated to lose. I mean, he was still playing his part being a father, but he did not.
Yeah.
None of us liked to lose, and my father
Yeah.
made sure that I knew that. And but like even playing sports, man, I played lacrosse at a pretty high level, and I didn't go to
Okay.
college. I decided to pick up a hammer and make some money instead, but I was
Right.
always putting in extra reps. Like it wasn't just about going to practice and showing up there. Like after practice, I
Yeah.
would stay and shoot, or in the off season, I'd go out in the backyard and I would shoot hundreds and hundreds of balls. So
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of always been something that I had. But from a business perspective, dude, I was 22 years old. I didn't know a single thing about business. Um, I think that I am a student, and I recognize that in order for like the universe is continuing to move and change.
Right.
It's dynamic. It moves.
You got to be able to adapt.
You cannot stay stagnant. And I think once you realize that, and you realize that you have to continue to learn and educate yourself, whether that
Yeah.
be in the form of a book, a podcast, audio books, or even learning from people around you, like mentors and stuff
Right.
like that. Um, I think that I recognize that at about 22, and
Yeah.
from there, that's that's one of the biggest contributors to kind of where I'm at, is just showing up consistently,
Right.
and realizing that, being humble enough to look at it and say, like, I don't have it all figured out, so I need to
Right.
continue to get better every single
Oh,
day, or
100%.
everybody, my competition, the universe, and everybody else in business is just going to blow right past me.
100%. 100%, man. Like, I don't know if you read the book Brandon Dawson just came out with. I think it's nine-figure mindset or something along those lines. I'll send it to you, but it's great. And he talks about exactly what you spoke about, of knowing your strengths, right? He has this like 20 question on one of these pages. He asks 20 questions, and it really opened up my mind, right? So you write down all the things you're really good at, all the things you're not that good at, all the things that you don't like doing, that you do like doing. And it got me thinking about, okay, well, I need to, I got to focus on the strengths. I got to get somebody to handle the weaknesses. And, it really changed a lot for the company, really, in the last few months since I picked up that book. And you bring up a great point. Like, learning is everything, right? Like, I was that kid at one point where I'm like, I know everything. I'm the best at sales, and then, but when I started my own company, like, okay, I might be the best at sales, but now I got to figure this marketing thing out. And this,
Right.
like, I was always good at hiring. So thank God I had the sales and the hiring down. But then it's like, oh, what's this marketing thing, man? Like, I had to figure that
the
out all from
funny
scratch.
the funniest thing is that, and I have some real good buddies who are in they're a commercial real estate developer, and
Right.
they're big time, and we joke all the time and say, like, nobody has it figured out. It's the funniest thing. Like,
Yeah.
even people who from the outside are like kicking ass and taking names, like, none of
They're
us have it
constantly
figured out.
figuring new
Well,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
it's funny when you actually think about it, because if you are continuing to evolve and get better, and you're moving and changing with the trends, like,
Yeah.
the nothing is staying stagnant, nothing's staying still. So you're constantly having to try and figure it out. So in turn,
Yep.
basically none of us know what the fuck we're doing, and
Exactly. Well,
we
that's the
we
thing. I
just
mean,
continue to
people
show
change
up.
too, right? Like the way you have to talk to people, and the way people want to be sold, right? Like, nobody wants to be sold. So you constantly have it. Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like, you're constantly having to change because people changes, society changes, the economy changes. I mean, you name it. I did want to touch on one thing that I know would be super important to to people that own construction companies out there. So how did you take that shift from swinging a hammer, focusing on the work, to being able to scale by, partnering with different contractors. And did you focus on like selling jobs and doing it that way? Or how did you make that shift to go from, a few 100,000 a year to, 15 million
Yeah.
in
So
just a few years?
so when I was with my father, we were swinging hammers, like we had tool belts on,
Right.
and I
And most people are.
yeah. And when I made the jump, it's a funny story. I actually got my real estate license because I wanted to flip houses, because I knew that we had the tools and the resources
Yep.
to be able to do it.
Yep.
And it was back when flipping houses was like super trendy. So I got my
Yeah.
real estate license, went to my father. I'm like, hey, let's go do this now, because I didn't have money. I was 22 years old. I had like
Right.
$3,000. So I wasn't flipping houses. So I went to him as the money man, and he's like, hell no, I ain't doing that. I'm not refinancing my house. You're crazy.
Right.
So I kind of got a little deflated, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll do this real estate thing. And at the same time, I had some buddies, the ones that I just mentioned, with the commercial development company, and they had houses that they were putting up, and I just called them, and being good friends that they are, I said, hey, I want to do your roofs. They said, okay, can you match these numbers? I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I subcontracted a roof crew. I put them on it. At the same time, I was walking through properties and selling real estate. So I was kind of double dip. I was using my time. I was putting people
100%.
on a roof to go make me money, essentially, while walking through properties to sell for real estate. And I started to really promote myself on social. This is 7 years ago. So this is before everybody was doing it. Like, I was one of the only people putting up videos of guys installing a roof. So inevitably what happened was that led to people calling me about roof replacements, because that was all new construction. People started calling me about roof replacements. Next thing you know, I'm doing a full re-roof, making a couple $1,000. Then I reinvested some money back into the company. I got a logo made. I put a decal on a vehicle, and I started learning a little bit about the insurance industry. And once I learned that you could actually get somebody a full roofing system paid at the expense of the insurance company, less of course their deductible amount. I learned just a sliver about that industry, and I know nothing in comparison to what I know now back then in 2018. But a hailstorm, just real good timing, a hailstorm hit like 20 minutes from my hometown. And I called up my father and my cousin, and I said, dude, now is the time to roll. I'll teach you everything I know. It's not much, but all we got to do is hustle, and I'm telling you, we can make a lot of money. And my first
the storm chasers. I mean, there's just so many different ways to make money now in construction.
Well,
do you guys do that stuff? Do you guys do the storm chasers? And
I mean, we don't call ourselves storm chasers.
Well, I know, I know. There's this guy Juice Box that I know, and he's big in the roofing industry. I don't know, you might know who he is, but Mike Martinez, I think his name is.
Okay.
But massive guy, and he's always talking about storm chaser this and storm chaser that. They have these huge conventions, roofing conventions every year, and it's but man,
it's a very powerful model, and the reason it is because it's like, and the storms do not care who the president is. They don't care about the interest rates. They don't care about what the price of gas is. They're unapologetic. When they want to do what they want to do, which is destroy shit, they're going to do it. So if you are in the exterior remodeling space and you don't know anything about insurance, you're a fool, because it's inevitable, and it's nothing, in my opinion, is recession proof, but it's pretty freaking close.
Right. Absolutely. When you don't have to ask for a check from the homeowner or the business owner, and you can get that paid on from the insurance, you're going to get paid. You're getting guaranteed work. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Dude, I could literally talk to you all night. I know you've got to get going.
Well, I can spare another question if you want to ramble one more, and then
cool.
we'll have to schedule a follow-up call or something.
Oh, dude, definitely. I mean, we'll just have to jump on the phone at the end of the day and see what we can do together, man. I love your energy. But so when you took the transition, so you saw, obviously, it was you were able to connect people who needed something doing. You've got other subcontractors, you're putting them together, they're doing the work, you're sitting back and collecting your piece. Now, from there, how do you scale that? Are you scaling it from like a sales perspective, where you have now other people marketing to, word of mouth, affiliate, or how do you scale from that point? Once you start putting contractors with jobs, how do you scale further from there?
Yeah, I mean, every business is a little bit different, but
Right.
my business specifically, which I'm super biased because this is all I've known my whole life, is
Yeah.
construction.
100%. That's your expertise, man.
Right, and I do not stray. But just going back to the question, what you need to do is you need to make sure that what you have is scalable. So you need
Right.
to make sure, and don't get me wrong, my systems and processes 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago are not what they are today. So, but you need to make sure that the meat and potatoes of what you're offering is, and your system is consistent. You want to make sure that every single customer, like in our space, every single customer better get asked if they want to finance their project. People lose
Right.
deals all the time because they just don't know that you offer financing. So if you offer financing,
Right.
you have to educate them on it and let them know. They're usually not going to ask you. You need to ask every customer for a review and a referral. It's like the elementary shit that everybody knows that they fail to execute on. And the biggest thing that I would say is that's where you need to use technology. If you see a common trend in an industry or sales in general, then you need to take technology to be able to automate it and still make sure the guys do their part, still make sure that they're asking in person. But at the end of the day, if you have a system in place so that you know that every
It
customer
never
gets
gets missed.
right, and what they lag in, or what they if they drop the ball, you know that technology is going to pick up the pieces. So
Absolutely.
that's the one big piece. And the other thing too is you got to make sure that you're somebody that people want to follow. Like if you're not a good leader, or
Yeah.
you have bad ethics, like people who come and work for you are basically
Yeah.
telling you that they trust you
I'm trusting you,
with their life.
to be for me to be able to take care of my family.
But you're right, their life,
Yeah.
their spouse, their kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
there's
think a big reason why you've been so successful is because you understand that. It sounds like you take the responsibility of not just your employees, but their families very seriously.
right, and nobody wants to follow a crook to jail. So
Well, right.
you
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you're somebody that people want to follow. You
Yeah.
have to have a system that works. You
Yeah.
have to be somebody that people want to get behind, and you have to be able to sell your vision and your dream. If people think that they're going to come work for
Absolutely.
you, and the life that they have today is the same life that they're going to have in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now,
Right.
you're not very good to them, because they're
Right.
not improving their life at all. They're going to get
It's just a
stagnant and they're
stepping
going to leave.
stool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
gonna have high turnover. You're not going to be able to retain
Yeah.
anybody,
Yeah.
and it's ultimately going to be an issue. So you got to have systems and processes. You have to be somebody who people want to follow, um,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to get people to buy into your vision with you, because at the end of the day, you can be the best operator ever, but if you don't have a
Yeah.
team, you'll get nowhere, because
Exactly.
you can only do so much as one person. You only have
Oh yeah.
24 hours in the day. You
And
got to
even with
sleep and
all the
eat at some point.
technology, you can
Right,
still, yeah,
right.
yeah,
And even if you're going to build a piece of technology and sell an app or a widget or something like that, it still takes a
right,
team. You still need to be able to
yeah,
lead. You still need to be able to execute. You need to get people behind your mission. And
oh yeah.
if you can't do that, and you can't get people on your team, you're gonna feel stagnant. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, dude.
Well, you're gonna be stagnant.
But in the same sentence, I have buddies in the industry who it's just them, and they do
Yeah,
well. They make $200,000-300,000 a year, and their
right,
problems are their problems. And sometimes I'm a little bit envious of that. But
right,
at the end of the day, if your goal is impact, and
yeah,
you want to help as many people as possible, you have
right,
to, like, the people who think like these big corporations are monsters. I hate it, because these
right,
big corporations
yeah,
are the ones who make the world go round. And if
yeah,
you want to be one of those big players, you have to get people to buy into your vision and your dream. And
100%.
if you don't recognize that, and just stick with what you're doing, get very efficient, but realize
Yeah,
that
you got to know where you want to go. I think
right.
a lot of people are just kind of shooting in the wind, and they're not sure where they're going.
Well, and the problem, if you're small business, even me, like I guess you'd call me medium business. Or I guess I still am small business, but if you're like a 1 to 2 man operation, you're very volatile because if there's an industry change, if something changes,
Right.
you're at risk. So if you are going to stay small, my recommendation would be figure out a secondary place to invest those funds that you're making to make sure that you have something else
Right.
in case the one
Oh, yeah.
thing that you're doing right now is no longer available or it gets harder to compete.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. Dude, it's been great talking to you, man. I'm gonna shoot you my cell phone number. I'd love to chat with you further. Anybody that wants to find you, your company, get their roofs fixed. Explain to us the different products your company offers real quick,
Yeah,
and I'll make sure to put it in the description as well.
roofing, siding, windows, doors, gutters, decks, insulation, basically
All exterior,
all
commercial, residential.
yep, all exteriors, both on the commercial and residential side. And for the slim chance that somebody on here is working as a salesperson for another contractor and they want to open up their own business and they're interested in roofing and exteriors, we're
Right.
offering franchises all over the nation. And
Awesome.
there's a ton of availability right now since we only have 9 active. And but I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with somebody about the different benefits. And our industry is consolidating very quickly and
Yeah.
private equity's coming in. The smaller guys who are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, even $5 million worth of annual revenue, they're at risk because
Yeah.
purchasing power is diminishing. The manufacturers, their credentials and their warranties that they're starting to offer, they're starting to cater to private equity firms and these large
Right.
conglomerates and franchise concepts. So
Yeah.
they're even recognizing what's going on. So it's becoming very hard for the local mom and pop shop or even the smaller
Yeah.
guys who do under $5 million worth of revenue to compete. So if
Yeah.
anybody's interested in hearing more or chatting with me about the health of their construction business or company and is
Yeah.
interested in hearing more, yeah, they can reach out to me directly on either Instagram or Facebook. It's just Carnie Fryfogle, or
Cool.
they can visit one of our 3 websites. But
Right.
specifically, if they're interested in the franchise concept or just having a conversation to see where they
Yeah.
stand and if it's something that they should be even considering, they could go to
Right.
cr3franchise.com and
Yeah, you were pretty easy to find on Google, so I'll make sure we put all the information and contact info in the description so people can find you easily. Man, dude, great freaking talking to you. I wish you all the success, dude. This year is going to be great for you, man. You're already in 9 states. I hope you make. What's your goal for this year? 30?
we want to open 50 this year, but we wanted to open 50 last year. We opened 9, so
Yeah.
we
Hey,
have some
man,
pretty lofty goals, and in the next 3 to 5
you
years,
got to.
we want to have 250 to 500 stores open, and
There you go.
that's the goal. If even if we end up short, I think we're still doing pretty well. So no,
Yes, absolutely, man.
it's been great, man.
We'll catch up soon.